recorded now. And all the materials will be shared with you, and I will ask you to stay muted when you are not speaking, but when you are speaking, please turn on your microphone, and you can leave your questions in the chat, and also please, when we will have the discussion, share your opinion with the other participants. So in our first webinar, I was so motivated to speak, so I forgot to give the floor to others. So I will not make the mistake again. So Anna, feel free to introduce our project to the group. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sasa. I will share my screen. Please let me know as soon as you can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So, hi everyone. First of all, thank you so much for being here. As Sasa already introduced me, my name is Ana Leixo. I'm here today on behalf of Inova Mais, which is the project coordinator of the AfriConEU project. And today I will be making a brief presentation to tell you a little bit about our project and also the network academy of events that we are offering and to which you can join. So in case you didn't know, the AfriConEU project is a project funded under the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Program, started in February 2021 and will last until January 2024. The project was designed essentially to reinforce the collaboration between Africa and Europe on an equal footing, which has been proved to be a critical challenge for accelerating the digital transformation and contribute to the sustainable economic growth of both continents. So what we set out to achieve with the project at its inception was to create the first trans-continental networking academy to support African and European digital innovation hubs in many fronts, from capacity building to knowledge sharing, networking, joint projects, venture development, name it. But this is quite ambitious, and you might be thinking, okay, how are you going to do that? Did you make it already? And you will see the answer to this question in a couple of slides. But before you can have a look at the organizations that partake in our consortium, as you can see, AfriConEU is being implemented by 11 partners, 5 from European countries, 4 from African ones. Being the African ones, the ones that are targeted in our projects, so Nigeria, Uganda, Tanzania, and Ghana. If you want to know more about the Africans, you can always go to our website. We have everything there, but I can already tell you that besides the geographical representation you see here, we have also a very broad type of organizations which complements the consortium competences for the work that we are doing. Our project is divided into 5 distinct but interlinked phases. We already completed phase 1, where we designed and implemented research activities to develop a deep understanding of the targeted innovation ecosystems in Africa, as well as their needs and challenges, to then, in phase 2, develop the AfriConEU Academy by building upon these research outcomes. These 2 phases comprise the first year of the project. They are already completed, and we are now on phase 3 that is dedicated to the rollout implementation of the AfriConEU Academy sub-programs, in which this masterclass is included. This phase, let's say, will last for a period of 2 years, and all the process and results will be monitored and assessed to then be utilized in phase 4 to advocate to the uptake of the project outcomes by stakeholders from the various ecosystems. Well, phase 5 spans the whole project duration because comprises more or less a variety of dissemination, awareness raising, communication, and exploitation activities. But what is the AfriConEU Networking Academy? Since AfriConEU intends to facilitate and empower the digital innovation ecosystem in Africa, we created 2 flagship programs, one more focused in capacity building and another more focused on trans-continental partnership development. The capacity building flagship program is divided into 4 thematic areas that were identified as areas of main interest and relevance by the participants of our research activities in phase 1 and 2. So they are, as you can see here, the first one, so business development models and multi-actor approach. We have the second one, technology transfer of innovative technologies. Thematic 3, startup financial support. And finally, thematics 4, digital and entrepreneurial skills development. For each of them, we designed 5 webinars, 3 local workshops in the African countries that we are targeting, and 2 online masterclasses that started already in May, and today you are here in one of them, sustainability in business. So, concerning the Trans-Continental Partnership Development Program, the same happened. We conducted desk research, organized a co-creation workshop on the matter to understand how our program could better get to the audience, and came up with another 4 thematics. So, one more focused on common and digital market and connected startup ecosystem, another one focused on the digitalization jobs for the 21st century and employment opportunities, a third one on business and investment opportunities in the African market, and a fourth about the digital scouting digital entrepreneurs and startups also market. For this program, we will have an international brokerage event still this year in October that will take place in Italy. We will also have 4 boot camps, one in each African country, and our last event that would be the capitalization event. Here you can see the Networking Academy calendar. We already have 2 events in May, but as you can see, we have lots of things prepared for all of you until the end of the year, and also in 2023. So all the webinars and masterclasses are held in an online format, but local workshops and the Trans-Continental Partnership Program events are held in physical format with online transmission usually, okay? So you can keep up with the Academy. To answer the question that we posed from the beginning of the presentation, yes, we did it. We launched the African Network Academy, and we have all these events prepared for you and for free. As you know, registration is needed, but it's quite simple. You can access all the information regarding all of our events on our website, as you can see from this mini video. So join the AfriConEU family. I can tell you that you will not regret. This is the end of my presentation. So thank you for your time. If you want to be aware of all our actions, please follow us on social media. We are everywhere. Actually, we are doing a live covering of this event right now on Twitter, so go there. Subscribe to our newsletter to be constantly updated and reach to our website to know what opportunities we may have for you as an individual or an organization. Last but not least, I kindly encourage you to also follow our event tomorrow that will be live streamed directly from Ghana. It will be a local workshop on digital innovation strategy and resources. And well, enjoy this masterclass. Hope to see you in next Academy events. And thank you so much for your time. So Sasa, back to you.
Thank you, Anna, for your introduction of our interesting project. As you can hear it, we have a lot of events, so feel free to participate in our events. I will share my screen again for my introduction in sustainability. Sometimes I think that from when I was starting to work in the field of food and agriculture, the sustainability word was not so common, but since then everything is sustainable. And the word sustainable was firstly introduced in almost 40 years ago, when the term sustainable development was reached out, and they say economic development is that is sustainable meets the needs of present generation without compromising the needs of future generation. So business sustainability means that business should create wealth and make people's life better, but they need to do so without compromising the health and wealth of future generation. That means business should not consume natural resources too quickly or create waste like plastic and carbon too quickly. So the long-term goal is thriving societies and ecosystem. But as we are DIHs, we know that we pursue this multi-actor approach, and we are aware that no single business can be sustainable. Only groups of organizations, or they can better achieve the goals of sustainability. Because every individual business consumes some resources and creates waste. But by working with other organizations, a business can use another organization waste as inputs for its own production process and sell its waste for others' production processes. So, for example, a grocery store's leftover or from farmer, they can be becoming a juice bar inputs for another entities. So the reuse is often in nowadays called the circular economy, but we know that in past we all do that, but we didn't have this term for addressing it. So I think that circular economy is the best pathway for business sustainability. Because not only this reduce natural resource extraction, but it reduce waste and also reduce waste generation. And to make it even more attractive, if done right, it generates economic value. And we think that business sustainability is the only way to assure future prosperity for all. We need to figure it out only how to make it. And why business sustainability is so confusing? I think that part of the reason is that people get stumped on the definition of business sustainability because the word is overused sometimes and is also used to describe pure business strategy, such as sustainable competitive advantage and sustainable growth. But sustainable used in these ways, it's only about sustain or about lasting. Sustainable in strategy concept has little to do with society. It's all about business and about economic growth. And but that is not the only source about or of confusion. People working on social and environmental issues use a lot of concepts to describe their efforts, and at this intersection of business and society. They use terms like corporate social responsibility, shared value, the triple bottom line, or just managing environmental impacts. And however, these concepts can differ from sustainability in important ways, and they are also a little bit similar. If we look at it in one by one. Corporate social responsibility emphasizes the corporation ethical responsibility. It focuses on the word responsibility. This expression is somewhere problematic because it's not clear to whom corporations should feel responsible. Is this responsible to stakeholders, to customers, to citizens, or future generation, or is only responsible to their investors? This is when you have the different set of decision and action, and if responsibility to one different set of stakeholders can even contradict action needed to show responsibility to other stakeholders or to your consumers or customers. Basically, for some company, responsibly offering the minimum wage to satisfy shareholders or investors. And for others, responsibility is offering a higher wage to satisfy employees. So we need to, when we talk about sustainability, we don't think and talk only about responsibilities to different stakeholders, but to responsibility that the entity has to the whole environment. When we talk about shared value, in shared value argue that companies can generate value for the firm and social simultaneously. But something is missing, I think. Shared value does not emphasize the importance of time and future generation, both key to sustainable development. The biggest opportunities for shared value can take a long time to create. And but we are mainly focused on short time, and business are focused mainly on increasingly short term and time, and they can see very far into the future to create that long-term value. They most often seek immediate win-wins, such as saving costs related to energy or water use, and they don't consider the impact on future generation. But it is important to have this long future look on things, to have this future perspective on your current actions. And the third principle is triple bottom line, is also distinct from sustainability. It requires from businesses to consider three bottom lines, so to say social, environmental, and financial performance. And this approach does not offer guidance on how to manage those bottom lines. And if we are going a little bit further, why business sustainability is important, we can have a lot of benefits, and there are a lot of reasons why to do it sustainable. First and foremost is that there is no future for all of us and for the business if we use all the resources now. But this is the long-term goal and the long-term perspective. So, but if we look at it now, the benefits are attracting and retaining employees, especially when we have higher level of employees and they want to make some changes in the world. They want to see purpose in their work. Then the whole vision of the businesses for which they work is important. And we are building, the benefit is building more resilient supply chain because they experience fewer disruption in supply, and building a more loyal customer base. This is very important because if we have consumer or customer that is aligned with our value, it's more likely that he will stay with our brand. And there is also growing evidence that these companies perform better in the long term. And the biggest challenge to being sustainable and to leading sustainable business is there is so many distractions, including shareholder or investor pressures for short-term results. And then the business can lose sight of sustainability. And I will show you some example of our own short food supply chain. Because part of our work, we are divided in DIH agri-food, and one of our important work is Greenpoint. This is Slovenian Living Lab, is also the short food supply chain. In 2 years ago, we became the biggest and most advanced short food supply chain in the region. And I think that's one of the main reasons for that is that we promote sustainability in our concept, in our vision. We are based on strong cooperation with farmers and strong cooperation with local environment. And on top of that, we put other like technological digitalization transfer, new models, new business models, so to say, and all that used in some co-creation process with our consumer, with our farmers, and with our food processors. And as is Living Lab, this means that we have new perspective, new models that are implementing and tested in real environment. And we are now currently working on collecting data and building the data space for food system and the whole value chain. But for I was also want to talk about the macro trends. I focused basically on the mega trends in food supply chain or food systems, but nevertheless that here we are from the different sectors. I think that the food is important to all of us. So I will shortly want to share with you that Nordic countries in Europe are the most advanced, and they are the Nordic Council of Ministers has published a research project identifying 8 megatrends affecting the future of food. And the research has taken place in the context of climate change and the possibilities brought about by the industry revolution and the digitalization, as well as the social context of inequality and climate anxiety. So this future trend, as you can see here, is that technology will penetrate all areas of social life, that food system will be redesigned with a new set of goals, as we already see that in the disruptions when coronavirus erupt. So to say, the countries start to close their borders, the logistic was hard to manage, and the local production has new boost, and digitalization is opening new horizons. This is important also for other sectors. And the not so good trend is that society will become increasingly polarized, and this is also in relation with food waste, because this discrepancy between the one half of the world having trouble with obesity, and another half is in the hungry, and we have on top of that we have food waste that is around 1/3 of production. So I don't think that we are sustainably right now. And the fifth is products will be valued based on the amount of waste they produce. This is also important for sustainability. And a new appreciation for the environment will develop as we see and hear it every time, every day, basically. And people will become more anxious and fearful. In Europe, we are now anxious when the coronavirus has died in some way. Now the Ukrainian war has started, so we are coming from one anxious and fearful domain to another, and new lifestyle will emerge and redefine our value systems. And not only to related to food, but also to other values that we have. And so I think that I came to the end of my short introduction about business and sustainability. Hopefully my goal is achieved, because I want to talk and make some I don't know how to say it, some thoughts about it to induce our discussion further on, because we have 10 minutes to discuss things about sustainability mainly. But firstly, as we are a small group, I would ask you to say just who you are and what your from which sector are you from, if you could. And to add it, maybe your, or we will want to also share with you, if you are thinking about sustainability the same as I already talk, or do you have some other opinion? But please make it short. So I will stop sharing my screen.
I think I will just keep our tradition from the Zero W project of conversing among ourselves. Greetings, everybody. My name is Andra Tănase, and I am in Cluj, Romania, Transylvania, working in Transylvania IT Cluster and Digital Innovation Hub. Briefly, I share very much your perspective, Sasha, of sustainability. I have also started studying quite a long time ago. I will not say how many years, environmental economics, and that's where we are discussing this basically concept of sustainability as something that enables us to enjoy, and our future generations to enjoy the benefits and the results of our work. So this is very much the starting point. And right now, I think the perspective on sustainability links very much to the approach of working in an ecosystem. So I think we cannot dissociate economic sustainability from social sustainability, environmental sustainability, and human sustainability. So I think that's the approach that we take. And my hope is that this buzzword, as you also mentioned, becomes more and more a value and not only a buzzword.
Definitely. And if we talk and think about it more, the chances are that this likely will expand it.
And so, do more.
Yes, not only talk more. Yes.
My favorite example is in conferences, if we have an event, to leave the small milk plastic cups away, especially for talking about sustainability and green. So that's why I say, talk more and
do more.
Very
yes.
important. do more, no matter how small the action is.
Yes, as Gandhi said, if we want to be the change, we should start by ourselves. It's true. Shainu Banji, I'm sorry if I don't pronounce this right. Do you have your hand raised? And do you have any comments? Or I see it in the chat that you live in Tanzania and you practice sustainability and you are the UNOX SDG ambassador. So you're aware what we are talking about and doing about it. Any more opinions? Or we will then go to presentation of DIHs, and then maybe we will talk more about sustainability and about them, and if some question will arise, how they do it. So I will give the floor to Heidi now, because she is the first to go to present their network.
Thank you so much, Sasa. I am always getting very optimistic when I meet a lot of people who actually want to work on sustainability and who want to act upon it. And that is, so I'm very honored to be here and to introduce Food and Biocluster Denmark that I come from. I'm called Heidi Høj Dyrholm. It's a very Danish name, as you can tell from the spelling of it. And I live in Copenhagen, which is not where our headquarters is, because our headquarters is where the food is being produced in Denmark, which is in the western part of Denmark. Being very small, we still have small differences between us. Now, I will see if I can share my screen. I am trying now, but I think I'm on the wrong slide. Oop. And I don't think this looks right. Are you seeing it in full?
We are seeing, but not the full. Yes, now we are seeing in the full.
Excellent. I have been preparing something which is probably less what you wanted me to do. So I will be doing it a bit quickly and then jump to the questions that you are asking us about the sustainability. Because in a way, sustainability is everything to us in Food and Biocluster Denmark. This is the basis why we work here. Okay. So the company, or yeah, it's actually a company, but the organization I work for is Food and Biocluster Denmark. We're a cluster organization that is here to strengthen innovation and knowledge collaboration across the entire value chain, nationally and internationally. Our aim is to be one point of entry for companies and knowledge institutions for networking, innovation, business development, and funding. I tend to say we have to stimulate innovation and entrepreneurship within food and bioresources. We have a vision of being globally competitive and recognized as the world leaders within innovation and sustainable development across the entire value chain. And it doesn't say food because we are actually covering everything from what comes out of the ground until it comes back in a circular way, as you were introducing earlier today. I don't know if, well, according to some surveys that have been made, Denmark is not being regarded as a food producing nation, but that is how we see ourselves. So that is quite surprising. Most of our economy is linked to food somehow, or food production or agriculture. And a lot of the economy that comes with this is based out of agriculture. So this is a strong part of our identity. But the cluster organization I work for has 3 strategic objectives. And as you can see, we have designed them in bubbles because they are also overlapping. We have to provide sustainable, healthy, and food to a growing world population. We have to take full advantage of technological opportunities such as digitalization, biotech, and automation. And we have to ensure a sustainable green transformation. Much of the production of food in Denmark is still conventional. So we are in front of a large work to do, green transformation of the cluster towards climate neutrality. And what's special here is we have a special focus on the climate neutrality, which is just a part of sustainability. And in our daily work, we meet a lot of questions on what is sustainability and how can we define it. But actually in our strategy currently, a strong focus is on climate neutrality. Another issue and another concrete aspect that is being taken up a lot is biodiversity, more and more in the projects that we work with and the companies we work with. In words or in numbers, Food and Biocluster is located 10 places in Denmark with 3 incubators. We have 360 members. We are a membership organization. We host a lot of events every year. We have more than 6,500 contacts in our CRM system that we are in touch with. And those come from more than 2,500 organizations across 65 countries. We are 40 people working, or a little more than 40 people working for Food and Biocluster Denmark across Denmark. And our comms team likes to say that we communicate as well. And we have more than 5,300 followers on LinkedIn. And the way we work is that I will come back to that, but we actually take part of a lot of projects, meaning that we tap into a quite large amount of EU, national and regional funds, altogether counting for around or a little more than 150 million euro project portfolio. Here, and I like that this picture is circular because we cover the entire value chain from farm to fork. I'm not sure I really appreciate farm to fork because it's back again, yeah, and beyond. We work a lot in circular processes. And how concretely, because one thing you are mentioning is it's not enough to talk, we must act. How do we act? How concretely do we work in our everyday work? What motivates us? Well, Food and Biocluster Denmark is drawing this triangle when we work to explain the type of activities we undertake. In the top of the triangle, you can see that we do our one-on-one work with companies, individual counseling and sparing. This could be both for startups, it could be for SMEs, or it could be for corporates that are all members. It could also be for universities. Sometimes researchers come to us and say, I want to do a startup company, how can I do that? Or I want to do more research on this, is there a company interested in this? So we can do some one-on-one counseling there. So, and that sometimes leads to partnerships that then becomes projects. It could be EU projects, it could be public national projects, or it could be private projects. I'm moving now to the next step, the network part. For members exclusively, we have and we host 10 networks that are each within their specific focus. One is on upcycling, and that means we are gathering people that are involved in upcycling, either because their company is based on upcycling of the side streams from another company's production, or because they want to look into side streams that they produce themselves and want to get inspired into how can we better upcycle, how can we better use the side streams that we produce. An example of this is Peter Larsen Coffee, that is collaborating with a startup company. Peter Larsen Coffee is the largest producer of coffee in Denmark. They don't produce the coffee, obviously, because in Denmark we can't grow the coffee, but they trade it, and the grinds from there can be used for oils. So a startup company is then using the grinds from coffee in a bioprocess and then extracting the oil, which is then being sold back to cosmetics and to food. So this is just an example of a network that we are running. Another network we are running and starting now is the one on a climate measurement, which is one I am running. And that one is looking into how can a company start measuring their climate impact so that they can improve themselves, so that they can set clear targets and measure from time to time how is it that they improve. And this for sure has a lot of IT potential. How can we develop that even more with smart technologies in the future? But we are still waiting for the standards. So this is an issue there. But we're running 10 of these networks. I just gave you 2 examples. And these are specific networks within a specific topic interesting for people that could be both from academia and startups and SMEs and corporates. And actually they are quite mixed. And that's where people get inspired. Apart from that, we do a lot of events every year. Last year, we had around 170 events over the year, both online, most online, and some in real life, which is starting to open up again for obvious reasons. These are for inspiration, for innovation and startups, so that both large, small, and tiny companies can get inspired to grab their innovation potential, and also look for the funding that they might want and might need. We are just one of a number of cluster organization in Denmark, and we have to work together. As you can see, one in the middle here is called Digital Lead and has a strong focus on all digitalization of of all industries. So we have to collaborate with those when it comes to taking digital initiatives in companies. We do events with them, and we have several projects together with them. The same goes for the cluster organization called Clean, which is very much like ours, but which is working within so-called clean tech. And we have quite some overlaps. It may sound funny, but it could be, for instance, Arla Foods, which is a large dairy provider, producer, which has a lot of spill water, and water treatment is a central focus of Clean Cluster Denmark. So we and Clean have several projects in which our company members and their company members may have solutions that fit, and so that they can make smarter waste streams from the water stream, for instance. So collaboration is a key word for us in order to solve some of the issues that you were mentioning here. Okay, just a couple of words on what are our members. They are both startups, they're small and medium-sized companies, they're large international companies. There are also councils and NGOs that I didn't mention. There are also universities and knowledge institutions, and all of these are represented in our board. So it's a democratic organization defining our strategy and defining the strategic objectives that we have. And these 3 strategic objectives I've mentioned before are green transformation, digital transformation, and food, and enough food, or safe and sustainable food for the world. The network groups, oh, actually I had a whole slide on those. Sorry about that. But these are the networks that we're running. You can find them on our website if you want to get inspired by that. The networks meet around 4 times a year. They're meant to meet physically, but it has, of course, for obvious reasons, been difficult. So I think we are moving into a version now in which they meet 2 times physically, 2 times virtually, and discuss their solutions. And actually, these meetings do inspire a lot. From the last of the upcycling meetings that I mentioned before, the leader of the network came back to me and said, actually, the largest, we have 2 large retailing companies in Denmark. And one of them got so inspired from the first network meeting that they got back to the retailer and started new initiatives on food waste, especially with a focus of bread. We eat a lot of this dark bread in Denmark, and a lot of that is being thrown out due to its almost overdue date. So it's being thrown out and not sold. But now they are starting new processes internally in order to see how can we upcycle that? How can we reuse it in other processes? So we think this is a major value. As I said before, we do, if you are a company or a member, if you are even a partner organization, you can take part of our events and networks for free. Many of them are in English. You can find on our website which ones would fit your needs. You could also enter our website and see what type of information, including publications and interesting topics that you want in there. Every year we launch a list of publications that are both coming from the projects we take part of, and that are some that we start ourselves. that are within those 3 topics that are strategic objectives that I have mentioned before. And of course, if you are a member, you can always call us or contact us. Networks and events are those that I mentioned before in the digital universe. Since we are a part of the EU Smart Agri Hubs, I thought this was going to be a little more of the topic of today. So that's why I have a couple of slides on that. But what I can say is we don't enter any projects that don't have a sustainability angle to them. So I'm going to run quickly through those project examples that are examples of the crossover between IT or digitalization and sustainability in one way or the other. Here is quite a list of those. I will go through some of them one by one. I'll just think if there's anyone I should enhance more than others. Yeah, well, some of the partners here are also part of the project 0W, which is a project to digitalize and get an overview of the food loss and waste across Europe in order to set new targets and inspire the Commission to take initiatives that can lower the amount of food loss and waste. It's a project, standard EU project in a way, but it's a flagship project. So the Commission, the EU Commission, is very interested in the results of this project. It's stretching over 4 years with 46 partners from 17 countries. It's attacking societal challenges. All of the 46 partners, I'm not going to go into this, but as you can see, ITC is a member as well. And I think what's very important here is that the project is to provide credible solutions for significantly reducing the food loss and waste that we have from EU, involving all the actors. And this is important. Back to the partnership issue. It's the World Development Goal number 17, which I think is often understated. The World Goal number 17 is the one that says partnerships for the future. We can only solve these together. But that's why we have to involve all the actors in the food system to a collaborative framework to accelerate the just transition to a societal, economic, and environmentally sustainable food system for all. A little bit of a blah blah, but very concretely, we are working in 9 so-called systemic innovation living labs. Now, I know living labs as a real-life environment in which you do a research. And adding to this, then, the systemic innovation means that we're taking in actors, not just looking at one actor in the whole food value chain, but taking in a group of actors and then adding a systemic innovation, an innovation across all of those actors and testing it there, which is very interesting. We are following this closely across 9 places in Europe, sorry. And so we have 9 real-life living labs in which a methodology is being tested for capturing the data on the loss that is being created there and providing solutions, and then counting those numbers and giving all of the results back to the Commission so that we can have better legislation and act upon it together in the future. Action is needed. Just an example is how to better identify the matureness of tomatoes in order to pluck them exactly when they are ready, not before, not after, because that's how we can minimize the waste from tomato plucking. Another example that we are a part of is a global future in which we are inspiring and or exporting solutions from EU to Asian countries for also sustainable transition of the food systems. 4 target countries and 7 partners across Europe. I don't want to dive too much into this. Well, back to the an issue that you touched upon, saying action is needed, but money is needed too, is our answer. So luckily in Denmark, we have this, we have schemes that are sometimes, not always, but sometimes supported also by the EU, but voucher systems that have specific targets for sustainability, or and then you have to define how you are sustainable, but then you can get a voucher in order to have continuous education for staff that is already existing in your company, or you can add new academic staff in 6 months and get some support from this program. I think this is an excellent example of very concrete actions that companies can have access to just start off their journey and not wait until legislation is in place, or until somebody else is moving, or until you are forced to, or until you have to close your business. But actually, you just have to send in an application. It's quite easy. You get the 2,000 EU refund for your course, and actually it helps you not much, but a little bit, and it initiates the first step. This is one nice example of this. Another nice example of this is the Future Food and Bioresource Innovation Program, which has been going on for 10 years in Denmark, and has provided around 100 companies in Denmark with innovation partnerships that have a sustainable angle to them. Those can be technology that is reducing food loss and waste. It could be new types of ingredients for a transformation for plant-based away from animal-based food. Or it could be completely new types of grown ingredients, such as fungi-based proteins, or algae as a protein source, that are being then tested and applied. And it's taking the step all the way to pilot stage, so that you can start having some dialogue with your clients within this program, not selling, but having a dialogue with your potential client. So all the time we try to keep having a business model canvas in the back of our heads, being working for Food and Biocluster Denmark. You have to make your business model financially viable, because if it's not, your sustainable idea will die. And that's really sad. So you really have to think about, how can I make this work? That means talk with your client. Is your client ready to pay the price? Can they also see the benefit of the sustainability that you are adding to his or her product? And how will they then communicate that to their consumers? I'm not going to dive into more of those projects. These are other European projects in which you can meet partners or get vouchers for a sustainable transition. So actually, I think I've spoken more than enough. One more little thing I want to mention is, or two actually, in Denmark, a new working group is working, a state started, the working group is working on a climate label to place on food products, because that way you can communicate to consumers that they can make a climate-friendly choice in the buying situation, in the purchasing situation. And it's meant to be implemented towards 2023, so a little ahead of the European standard of the product environmental footprint that is being discussed now, and another EU climate label on food products that is also being discussed, but we are waiting. We're not waiting for those. The Danish government is eager to show results. I'm not sure that's a clever decision, but that's what we are waiting for. Another issue I want to raise is, we have a government that is very protective towards the consumers, saying that greenwashing is the big issue on sustainability, and to avoid greenwashing, which is basically saying you are doing something sustainable while not really doing it. The ombudsman has been fining 2-digit million euro fines on companies last year in 2021 for companies that have been saying sustainable something, which has not been so, or which has not had the data to support their claim, and but now have made a quick guide so that companies know what they can, what they cannot claim on their products when selling in Denmark. And I can highly recommend that governments take this kind of actions so that you get a clear definition of what is it that we think is sustainable, what is it we think is fair and true, and how do we avoid cheating people, basically, and because it won't even have the effect that or impact that we're expecting if we're not talking the same language. Which is why we are also very happy with the taxonomy, the EU taxonomy on investment, on green investments, which is how we are defining a common language on how to act upon sustainable activity. I think this was a lot of words, and I'm afraid that I've gone a little more over time than I was supposed to, but I hope that this was a little what you hope for, Sasa.
Yes, definitely. The presentation you made was very interesting and a lot of words, but everything you said is true. I'm scared about greenwashing also because it's everywhere, so to speak. And your organization is one of the biggest, and I can only say that when we grow big, we will like you, if that will be the case. Thank you.
Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
Yes, it will. It definitely is. Any one question, I think, if anybody has, we can take it for Heidi. And if not,
of course, you are welcome to come back to me with questions, or you can visit our website. Probably you will find some answers in there as well.
Yes, I think it's good for coming to their website and maybe to see also about networking opportunities. And if you have partners in 65 countries, as you said, you have partners also from Africa. Yes.
Indeed, we do. The partners we have in Africa are, I'm not sure we are involved in many projects currently, but we have been involved in agricultural projects in Africa before, especially on biodiversity. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we are developing some right now. But we do have a startup that is working in Africa with a bio solution, and that is sitting here in the office together with me. So Africa is definitely also in our scope.
Great, thank you. And now we are going to another European country, and to Romania and to Andra. Would you please present your work?
Yes, thank you very much for the invite. I started the sharing of the screen, and I would just like you to confirm if it goes ahead or stays on the same slide.
We are seeing it, but not the whole presentation, only
just the first slide.
Yes.
Okay, because this is an amazing of Zoom. I have to do it twice. Now it will work. So yes, from an IT cluster in Transylvania, and I would like to ask our participants here, and thank you very much for turning on the cameras, because any presentation, it's much nicer if we see each other just a little bit. If I say Transylvania, what do you imagine? You can unmute and just shout out the word. What do you imagine when I say Transylvania?
Dracula.
Dracula, okay. Gideon, I see you, and thank you for letting us see also your smile. If I say Transylvania, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, for me, the images I knew were pictures of somebody that traveled there, the beautiful buildings and the rest. So whenever I hear that, that's what comes to my mind. That's why I was laughing.
Okay, okay, great. So good to see that you have some reaction. Anybody else? Well, I'm trying to make it as interactive as possible, this will ensure the sustainability of our interventions, because I think if we really listen to each other, if you really see each other, we can go over this divide of being online and being on Zoom, which exists. It's a blessing because we can see each other and interact, but also it's a barrier. So yes, I'm working with the Transylvania IT Cluster and Transylvania Digital Innovation Hub, and I must say, I'm a project manager. I'm a strategist with our organization, and more recently, after a visit in Copenhagen Business School, my colleague was like, we found out another title, Green Innovation Manager. Still is not an official title, but it's something that more reflects on the work that I do within the cluster and Transylvania Digital Innovation Hub, where I am very much involved in projects that relate to circular economy and green aspects. A little bit more about who we are. We are an IT cluster. We are located in Cluj, which is in Transylvania, in the western part of Romania. Our work covered the northwestern part of Romania mainly. And we have over 125 members. You see there some numbers. They have thousands of employees, and they make money. Hopefully, they also make some good environmental and social impact. And this has been something that came more and more on our focus and our attention in the coming years, to look at this type of impact that our members have. On the lower right side, you see it's a picture of our members. And what I wanted to say is that not only we have small and medium and big ICT companies, but also research institutes and public authorities. So very much working on this ecosystem point of view, and very much trying to coagulate this ecosystem. Some of the examples of our work is the digital transformation strategy of our city. We have a number of working groups, e-health, smart digital city, human resources industry 4.0. We also are managing the Transylvania Living Lab here in Cluj. And we are part of a number of committees and groups also at the European level. Something that perhaps I would like to mention is that so far, because of the focus of our membership was not so much outside of Europe or outside of the northern hemisphere, let's say, they mention, US, Canada, with ICT companies, they work a lot there. We are very much welcoming and looking forward actually to this type of meetings and exploring possibilities and partnerships which go also in other directions, and that's why hopefully today is going to be an opportunity to actually consolidate and start some new partnerships. The type of services that we offer to our members are, you see them in the palette, networking, support to find investment, innovation services, capacity building. And, I would invite you again to guess which ones do you think are the highest rated by our members? What are they mostly interested in? Any guesses? Heidi. Yeah? And go ahead, Gideon, and then Heidi.
Well, maybe partnerships and internationalization.
Very good guess. And Heidi, did you have?
My experience is investment.
Yeah, exactly. These are actually the two most requested, and support to find investment and funding and partnerships. And while we take this as the demand of the members, it is also our approach, and I think it's also something that we want to make it as an argument for sustainability, that we serve this interest, this demand, but also emphasize the role of all the others, training and know-how, innovation, as supporting each other. And in these partnerships, also one of our approaches to try to go beyond what is considered the usual suspects. So as mentioned, you know, the partners, okay, we're looking where does the money come from, but also where real possibilities of collaboration may arise. So as a cluster, we also work in dialogue with our members, not only to take the demand and treat it as such, but also work on this and work on capacities and skills. As Heidi was also reading a very nice vision and mission, you can see keywords there, and we invite you to look also at our website. But yeah, I think to catalyze regional innovation is the keyword here. We want to work as a catalyst, and we want to work more and more on the bring between the digital transformation and also green on sustainability. Now everybody is talking, and we are a bit lucky because everybody is talking on the green and digital transition. So you know, there is a lot of funding in the that's a blessing. And it also is a big risk and a big responsibility, because we need to make it right. If we keep the buzzwords, we may attract a lot of funding until 2027, and then yeah, leave this and go to the next buzzword. We hope not to do that, but really use the opportunity, but really make solid work on that. Now, because Sasha, you were asking about the Digital Innovation Hub. This is a timeline of our Digital Innovation Hub. And as you see, from 2017, it was established. It became fully operational in 2019. And right now we are hoping to be among the ones that are selected as a European Digital Innovation Hub. We're waiting for the results, waiting, and hopefully this will come. The results will mean more consolidated work. We will do the plans anyhow, because they are part of what we do. So this is where we are and where we hope to go. I mentioned that we have this multi-stakeholder approach. So part of the Digital Innovation Hub, we have, of course, small and medium enterprises and startups. We have academia and research, public administration, a number of clusters which bring the industries close to us, and the Living Lab that enables us the test before invest, ideation, and prototyping. On the left, you see the type of stakeholders, and on the right, you see the names of the entities that are actually part of our Digital Innovation Hub. So we have the municipality of Cluj-Napoca, we have two key universities here in Cluj. We have the cluster, the furniture, the Agro-Transylvania cluster. We have the energy cluster, and also new materials clusters. And we are, as Transylvania IT, the orchestrators. It was a challenge also in the application to select only one area in which we work, also because we have a number of clusters as our members, and because in Romania we're still modest innovators, and while Cluj-Napoca is a big ICT center, overall in Romania, we're not doing that well at digital transformation and the DESI index. So the sectors actually are several sectors that our Digital Innovation Hub is working with: public administration, economy, healthcare, agriculture, and energy. So it's quite widespread with a big focus on public administration, because that's also where a big need is. And the relation to other sectors are done, as I mentioned, because we have in our Digital Innovation Hub different clusters and they represent the industry. So know quite well the needs and also know quite well the providers. This is a scheme looking at our approach, and here we see the four core and the classic action lines: support to find investment, test before invest, skills and training and innovation, ecosystem and networking. And this basically what they go into serving and connecting the providers and the users here in Transylvania. Just a brief, how does it work when an entity comes to access the services of the Digital Innovation Hub? There are different tracks on which they can go. One is a basic track accessing an assessment, digital maturity assessment, and accessing awareness raising and understanding events. And they can go to a full track where they start with an assessment and they can go into very personalized and very detailed services in terms of innovating. So they can go into the living lab and test a specific technology they may be using further in their production, and they can attend very detailed courses that can be high tech. So we have different rows for anybody entering the DIH, and the idea is that all of them are quite personalized. I was thinking to share with you, Heidi was telling about the 0W project in which we are partners. I will share with you two other examples of the projects that we had. This one, Reflow, just ended at the end of May. It was focusing on circular economy, and basically it was looking at circular processes and city transitions. As pilot cities, Cluj was one of them, together with Paris, Milan, Amsterdam, Berlin, and Weilen. Copenhagen Business School was the lead partner. In Cluj-Napoca, we focused on energy. In other cities, they had different focuses. Amsterdam was looking at textile, life cycling. Milan, food markets, plastics was a focus for Weilen. And what each of these cities did was awareness raising and capacity building, data tracking and energy, for us, energy flows, but different material flows mapping, and also policy input into their respective domains. In Cluj-Napoca, we basically worked on a retrofit kit installed at a local high school, and on an energy tree, which is a system. It's not yet the prototype. Right now is the concept, and the next phase is the prototype. But the concept involves gathering different types of renewable energies, solar, wind, but also electromagnetic waves. The other project that I wanted to mention is Urban Innovative Action by Amare in northern part of Romania. And here, basically, the project involves phytoremediation. So intervening on very heavily polluted lands with plants that absorb heavy metals, and intervening in areas which right now are not really used, and transforming them in a period, in a horizon of 10 and more years into public spaces. There is a lot to talk about all these projects, but I think we don't really have the time to go in details. I invite you to take a look at them, or to let me know if any of these are interesting for you. And two last things before concluding, I think to come back to the sustainability and sustainable business modeling. One very important aspect, for example, for us as a digital innovation hub, as an ITC cluster, is not only to look at projects such as the ones that I was presenting, so typically or classic green projects, but also to really constantly question what are the ethical components of our interventions. So one example is to look at the digital rights and principles, and to embed them into our activities and projects and practices, talking about the action. So we are in a process and converse with our members, and in our workshops on green and digital transitions, we always refer to these, and having people at the center, having participation, having sustainability, solidarity, and inclusions are principles that are fundamenting a sustainable action, and are fundamenting any sustainable modeling. So this was something that I wanted to emphasize, the importance of understanding and practicing these digital rights and principles. And as I mentioned, we did not necessarily have a very strong focus on this. We are now really fundamenting this pillar of ours. And also something that we didn't have is a sustainability business model for our digital innovation hub. And this is one of the plans and the ideas actually that I got. So we are now doing our strategic planning, and one of the actions that I will include on our agenda is actually to create a sustainable business model for our digital innovation hub. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for giving me this idea, and very happy to stay in touch and to connect whenever there is an opportunity.
Thank you, Andra. We are very glad that we induce some ideas and some good practices to think about it. And I'm sure that with your presentation, you managed to inspire others in this meeting, because it's interesting that I'm so narrow. I only think about food system and food and agriculture, like I'm born with food, but it's interesting that we can apply this this concept of sustainability in every sector. I didn't think about it, but all from Europe was women. And now we are going to Africa's presentation, and in Africa there are only men. So we have Paul and Gideon. And so Paul, I would like to ask you if you present your work, please.
Okay, thank you very much. In Africa, we have a lot of women, so fortunately, we are just men today for the presentation. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are seeing my screen.
We are seeing it.
Yes. Okay, so my name is Paul Mboa, and I'm the founder and CEO of Zik Tech Hub. It's a tech hub, a digital innovation hub based in Cameroon. And we're proudly members of AfriLabs, which is the largest network of hubs and incubators in Africa. We are also an Reach in Africa champion, which we are gladly, it's been an exciting journey. And we are the YE anchor for Cameroon. YE is an organization under the International Trade Center. So we focus on supporting entrepreneurs, in getting their business ready and also connecting them to opportunities offered by the Trade Center. So I'll go briefly the problem and why do we exist. So we actually exist to reduce the failure rate of startups. That's it, and also provide access to investment opportunities. The journey started in 2009, but we registered as a tech hub in 2017, right? And the goal is simply to be the leading hub where we can turn ideas to enterprises. So looking at an environment which is also very growing, and looking at the literacy level, looking at the mobile penetration level, we thought it wise to have an incubation, acceleration, structure that will help them to churn these ideas to profitable businesses. So at the core, we started with incubation, right? But we saw the need, to have cutting edge in terms of coaching and mentoring and business development services. But not just that, we realized that, having cloud-based solutions would also help these startups to really start with a minimal amount, to start with the lowest budget as possible based on the lack of infrastructure when it has to do with technology. We realized that not just that, we needed, introduction. So one of the things we do is to connect these startups that want to expand to Europe, also those that want to expand within Africa, because the country is a very small market. So we think about having regional businesses, right? And in 2019, we looked at the fact that, the investment coming in was very minimal. And how do we get these startups investment ready? Some of them had, they have good products, they have good solutions, but they are not talking, they are not speaking the terms of investors. So how do we get them investment ready? But at the end, we don't just stick to that, we also focus on skill development. We know we have lots of agricultural development happening in Africa, in Cameroon in specific. So we are building the skills of the people. So working with local communities, building their skills, both soft skills and hard skills. So in terms of our model, right, looking at incubation and acceleration, and also the level of capital, we realized that for us to be sustainable, we had to add so many things to our portfolio. So things that we actively do, we do project implementation. So we work with local councils, we work with local ministries, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, to help them to be implementation partners at the ground level. So, looking at our government or looking at the governance structure, definitely, governance is slow. It's very difficult, and in terms of project implementation, the right market is not targeted. So what we help them to do is simply implement some of their projects across Cameroon, and also work with other African countries. We work with corporates also to implement some of their events. So that also adds to the sustainability part of it. So we work with corporates. Thus, there's that link between the community and the corporate, the entrepreneurs and the corporate. So there's that networking, and also help them to implement hackathon programs. We help them to implement, other exciting programs as part of their corporate social responsibility. So we work with many other companies in that. We offer consulting services, so that keeps us being relevant and also being afloat, and that gives us introductions and networking opportunities in other parts of Africa. So we consult with many organizations. We work with many organizations providing consulting services. Then, in order for us to be sustainable, we realize that for us to be implicated in the startups we support, we receive commissions on investments. So startups we introduce, right, or we refer to certain investors all over the world, we receive commissions. And lately we've built an IP which is very specific in terms of startups, and also promising startups that we also sell to VC firms. So that is a global picture of how we deploy our solution. So definitely our key targets are the communities where the entrepreneurs are coming from, and our least targets are organizations. So we've seen how to bridge the gap between the entrepreneurs, the investors, and the corporates. In 2021, last year, we focused on blue ocean technology. We realized that, in fact, we had startups in that area, but they had little or no support. In Africa now, we have a massive traction in terms of blue ocean technology in South Africa, but really still baby steps in sub-Saharan Africa. So we saw the need to really focus on how can we support entrepreneurs and startups that want to get in the blue ocean technology space. And last year we focused on supporting 10 clean tech startups, because we believe that is the future. How can they be sustainable? How can they impact the environment? So helping them to create solutions driven for the environment. This year, 2022, we're actively working with the Ministry of Agriculture under the Piaget project, funded by FIDA. And we are working with over 20 agri hubs. So the government has what they call agro-pastoral hubs. So these hubs are based in localities, communities, where they support agripreneurs, right? And they have funding for over 2,000 euros, where they're given these funds for them to kickstart their businesses. So we are coming as an implementation partner to support these agri-hubs to be sustainable. We're also supporting them, to have the basic in terms of tools, project implementation, acceleration programs. How do they come up with, their acceleration programs? How do they keep their deal flows? How do they connect with the supply chain? So I'll give you an example. In Dibombari, which is a locality in the littoral region of my country, we have about 10 to 12 agripreneurs that are doing chicken, right? So at the end of the program, we could connect them to restaurants that are ordering 500 chickens a day. So that creates a system where, you know, they can get from the small scale producers and form a consortium or form a group, you know, where a cluster where they can also sell to these restaurants at a higher rate. And this year, we're also working on creating a national agri-hub network, which we have over 50 of these agri-hubs scattered all over the 10 regions of Cameroon. So basically, that's what we do. And our impact has been tremendous, that we have over 20 plus investment of more than 5,000 US dollars and 50 plus investment of more than 20,000 US dollars, and supporting over 2,000 entrepreneurs in the last 4 years. So these are some of our key partners, and we believe partnership is the way forward for us. So our level of vision is, how do we collaborate together, bring in key resources, and how do we basically support? Because, for example, we are the only tech hub in a city of more than 200,000 people, right? Within our region of about 1 million or 2 million plus people, we have only 3 tech hubs. So you can imagine the work is really enormous, and we believe partnership is necessary for us to remain sustainable and also to be impactful in the community. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul, for your interesting presentation and your work. It's really important because you inspire and support many companies and many entrepreneurs. And I really like the name of agripreneur. I think I will use it in future.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now to Gideon, to you.
Hello, everyone. Yes, finally, I think that I can just say that if we put all the 3 presentations together, that represents what we are all talking about. So I'll be the last and I can stop there. But let me just share specific things that we are doing now to remain sustainable. A bit of a background to those that do not know about Hyperspace. Is a tech innovation hub based in Kumasi, Ghana. Kumasi is the 2nd capital of Ghana. And we focus mainly on early stage startups, and then research, training, and project implementations. When we started, our model was pretty much simple. We used to run the co-working space, and then we also gave out private offices, and for that one, we targeted matured companies that could pay, because then that saved us from the high rent costs in Ghana that we were paying. So once they can pay the rent for us, then we have the luxury of using the remaining time to focus on developing our startups. Then to keep us going, we heavily depended on sponsorships from international donors, government, etc. to implement specific projects that they desired. However, later we realized that that was not really sustainable. A good example is when the pandemic hit, people were not coming to the co-working spaces, that is one. And then those that were even paying for the private offices, they started working from home. And then sponsorships were also not coming in. So then actually we don't have a business running. So we came up with other models, and now we thought about focusing more also on the quality of human capital that we had. Because initially we had always considered ourselves, and I think that goes for a lot of the African digital innovation hubs, as startups supporting startups. Because the innovation hub model is pretty new in Africa. Most of the hubs do not have enough money to pay high-end staff. And so what, for instance, Hyperspace was doing was that we take fresh graduates and then we try to train them and then use the skills that they have acquired. But realizing that that was not helpful, it only worked in the initial model that we're operating. Now that we are going to focus more on supporting the startups beyond providing a mere co-working spaces for them, then we needed to find a way of bringing in high quality staff that these startups that come in can rely upon for support in building their businesses. So we changed our hiring processes. And then also with regards to the startups that we are supporting, now beyond the physical space that they were having, we realized that because anything could happen and they cannot even always come to the office just to use the co-working space, there was the need to provide a means where they can be supported wherever they find themselves. And so we came up with a number of strategies, including having a pool of mentors and coaches that work in the corporate institutions, academia, etc., with a lot of experiences that were willing to devote part of their time to support early stage startups. And so these ones made their available times known to our pool of startups, so that anytime that any of the startups need specific support based on the experience of these mentors and coaches in the pool, they can book some engagement slot with them and then be able to work with them online, either via phone, by any of the video conferencing means, or sometimes even going to their offices for such support. Then we also realized that because most of the startups, they are just beginning, and in Ghana, there has been a spark in the entrepreneurship and innovation space because most people are not finding jobs to do after graduation from the higher institutions. And so they are concerned about survival, mainly economic survival. So the commitment levels to their startup ideas can be very low, because they start something, it's very innovative, you are doing all you can to support them, but if they find any job in the corporate world, they are gone. They just dump those ideas. So we have a lot of innovative ideas that have been shelved because the innovators are no longer interested. They have found some jobs doing. So we're like, okay, why don't we come up with a strategy that will help these people to be economically sustainable while they work on their business ideas? So now we also source for jobs, consultancy services, and we have mapped the skills and services that we have in our startup community. And so once we source for such consultancy services, we use them to execute them. And that helps them to get some funds in their pockets that will keep them going while they work on their innovative ideas. And then we also do project implementation. So there are a number of organizations that we have worked for in that regard, like British Council, GIZ, and the rest. And we have trained most of these startups that we are working with to also deliver certain sessions of these projects that also provides them with some kind of finance to keep them going. And so with regards to the projects that we run, we also reckon that in the past, we get funding, we run projects, and then when the project lifetime expires, we abandon the project because we are done with it. But we reckon that, okay, if we are building the community and society, that is not sustainable. So how do we continue to support the participants in the various communities that we work with? So we now provide a lot of post-project support to the participants. I'll give one example. We recently did a project for GIZ that focused on digital transformation for rural marginalized women. And so we introduced these women to basic digital services that will help them, because most of them are farmers, petty traders, and those into fashion. Now, they understand how to use social media to market their products, but most of these do not even have the money to buy smartphones that will help them do this. Take very good pictures, post them on their social media handles and promote them. And so post the project, what can we do so that the knowledge that they have acquired through the project can really be put to use and benefit society? And so we are working with one of the telcos, MTN, that has phones that could be given to these women on hire purchases, which they can pay over time. And so we are providing value to the service provider, and then we are helping the woman to also be able to apply the knowledge gained through the project. So those are the kind of things that we are doing now so that the projects that we do are sustained. And our M&E strategy that we have now is not only limited to the project lifecycle, but also extends way beyond it so that we can continue to measure the impact that we are creating in society. Then we also talked about government, because in our space, you cannot be sustainable without good policies or interventions from the government. So we have been engaging the government. But we realize that if one half or a single individual want to influence policy, is almost impossible. And so we came together in Ghana as Innovation Hub. So we have the Ghana Hubs Network so that we can have a very unified voice to engage government. We have been able to do that. And now a startup policy has been drafted that has a number of things in them that are going to enable the environment for startup growth, which is going to help us. For other government agencies like our GRA, that is the Ghana Revenue Authority, and then the other certification institutes like Food and Drugs Board and the rest. So we continue to also engage these ones so that the startups that we are working with that need any support from these ones, they can help us with educating them, letting them know right from the start when they have the idea, the things that they need to do so that they get a proper certification, how can they get tax holidays and so forth. So that is also helping the startup ideas that we are working with to thrive and continue to grow. Of course, I think Paul mentioned it. We also understand that partnerships is the way to go if we want to be sustainable. So while partnering with government, with donor agencies and other foreign institutions, we also consider or place a lot of value on partnership within the ecosystem. So there are a number of things that we have done with startups, also with other innovation hubs across the country so that we can get what we want to do done. For instance, we offered a business development training to a group of women in agriculture and then fashion in one area in Ghana, and then realized that with regards to those in fashion, there is something interesting they do. They just take their measurements and then they record it on sheets of papers or in some tattered books. And sometimes the controversy is that they dump all the materials or the cloths that they have received, and when they are ready to sew them, they cannot identify which one belongs to which customer. And then also sometimes they even mess up the measurements. So we have partnered with one startup who is a developer, and then we have come up with an app that will help them with the recording, and not only recording the measurements that they have for the person, but also record their finances. So how much did the person pay initially? How much is the person owing them now, which is helping. So partnerships is also helping. I understand that Sasha, you said that the triple bottom line is sometimes confusing. Yes, it is, but you mentioned something also very notable, that it is not only about having the triple bottom line, but how we manage the components of the bottom line. And so, yes, we also see this as the pillars of our core model, that our innovation should be local, because now we reckon that most of the innovators in our ecosystem are focusing on just blindly adopting innovation from other regions and just trying to either mimic the same thing or do something similar, forgetting that there are some kind of long-standing traditional models that have run for a long time here that needs to just be digitized or just to be improved upon. And so we are helping our innovators to focus on digitalizing the local innovations that traditionally have been with us for a long time. And while they do that, they consider the social and then the environmental impact. And so this is the model that we've been running so far, and that's what I prepared to share with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, very much. I like it that you stress out the sustainability post-project. This is the important topic because we all work in several projects and we need to think about it, what will happen after the project. So thank you for that and for your inspiring work also. So we came to the conclusion of all presentation. I think that all speakers and their work is outstanding, and their organization or the model, or at least inspiration for all of us. I would like to ask you, I've prepared some antimatter questions, but I think that we talk about sustainability from different perspectives. And if you want to say your opinion or your view about the topic, feel free to turn on your microphone and share your opinion with us. But if you think that we talk about it enough, I would only ask you, because from the last webinars that we have or hosted, we learned that it's better to post the questionnaire in our webinar or masterclass or workshop. So I will post the survey for participants in the chat, and hopefully you all would click on that and fill it out. And for the speakers, I will send you the link for the monitoring questionnaire by mail, or if you would like, I will also post it here. This is for speaker. And the first one in the chat is for participants. It's a very short survey, so it won't take you long, only about 3 to 5 minutes. And we have that time here because you didn't want to discuss anything. So maybe you want to discuss anything, but not about sustainability. So. I also post the link to the website of our project in the chat, because there you can find all our future events. And as Anna already did in her presentation, it's gonna be a lot of events in this year that we will host, the ITC and other partners in the project, in different topics of capacity building for this and other entrepreneurs and agripreneurs. I really like that word. So I think if no other questions or comments are here, are there any? No? Then I would like to thank you all for participating, for listening, speakers to share their knowledge, and see you soon on other events. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.